Hey friends, today we're talking about absolute value in integers, so make sure you title that on your paper. Absolute value is the distance from 0 on a number line, and it uses these symbols to represent absolute value. So if you look in number 1, how far away is -2 from 0? Well, let's look at a number line. On this number line, -2 is 2 away from 0. So the absolute value is just 2. 5 is 5 away from 0. So what do you think about -78? You guessed it, it's 78 away from 0. And 9/10 is 9/10 away. Okay, go ahead and try these, and I'll be back in just a second to show you what I did. All right, check your work with a red pen, please. -7/10 is 7/10 away, while 6 is 6 away, 1/2 is 1/2 away, and -6 is 6 away. Okay, so now let's talk opposites. Opposites are not the same thing as absolute value. Opposites are the exact opposite of it on the number line. So -4, its opposite is 4, while 7, it doesn't equal, its opposite is -7. -x, which means any negative number's opposite, is its positive form. The opposite of a -8 can also be written like this. So what's not a -8? 8. It's kind of like saying I'm not going to the store, which means I am going to the store. Or I'm not going to do my homework, which means I am going to do my homework. So what do you think a not is? 3 negatives in a row. Well, it works the same. These two make a smiley face because 2 negatives, a not makes a positive. And then you bring down another negative and he takes over. So really, it's a -9. So let's look at some of these. What values can n have to make the equation true? If I put a +6 in absolute value or a -6 in absolute value, it equals 6. So n equals 6 or -6. If I just want to know what n equals and these in parentheses, those are not absolute value signs. So it's just n equals 22. Go ahead and try 3 and 4 for me and get your red pen ready. I'm going to show you what I did in just a second, so make sure you pause the video. Okay, grab your red pen. N, in this case, equals -3 because it's just in parentheses. While over here, n can equal 10 or -10 because they're both 10 away from 0. The absolute value sign means that there's going to be 2 answers for that one. All right, let's move on to adding integers. If you see 2 integers with the same sign and you're adding them together, you just add the numbers and use the common sign. You've done ones like these before ever since you were little. 8 and 4 together make 12, right? You're adding 8 plus 4. 6 plus 7 gives you 13. You're just adding 6 and 7. But down here it's a little different. You're adding 2 negatives. So up here, when you started at 8 and you added 4, you were getting a bigger positive, right? You were getting more. Whereas if you start at a small number like -8 and you add if you add more negatives, you're getting less. You're getting a smaller number like -12. 8 negatives and 4 negatives make 12 negatives. You add the numbers and you use the common sign. Same with -6 and -7. Sometimes we put parentheses around them because it looks really bad having 2 signs next to each other like here. So I like to put the parentheses around them. So in this one, make sure you're copying these down. -6 and -7 together make -13. So 2 positives made +13. 2 sets of negatives, 6 and -7, make -13. Different signs are a little more tricky, okay? In these ones, you're going to take the difference between the numbers and then use the sign of the greater number. Okay, for example, if I have -6 plus 1, I'm starting at -6 and I'm adding a positive. So I take their difference, 6 minus 1 gives me 5. And since I have more negatives than I do positives, it's a -5. Over here, I'm starting at +5 and I'm going back, or I'm adding 9 negatives to it. So 9, take away 5, even though the 9 is over here, I'm still taking 5 away from it. You're finding the difference between the two numbers. So 5 and 9's difference is 4, and it's a -9 has the bigger absolute value, so it's -4. Sometimes I circle the one that there's more of just to help myself out. Okay? For example, in this one, 6 plus -7 is a -1 because there's more negatives. Go ahead and try H for me. You guessed it, -8 has a greater absolute value. So 8 take away 4 is 4, and it's a -8, or a -4. All right, go ahead and try these. We're going to apply everything that we learned today. So if you need to, go back and look at your notes to help you with these. I'll be back in just a second to show you what I did. So make sure you grab a red pen and that you have your work ready to go. Okay, red pen's ready. Here we go. The 30 is the bigger number. So 23 away from 30 is 7. And it's a +7, so you can write it like this or like that. -93 is the bigger one, so in this case, they're different signs, so we subtract. 86 away from 93 gives us 7, and it's a -7. These ones have the same sign, so we keep the sign, which is negative, and we add them together. Remember, you shouldn't be using a calculator for these like I told you. So 38 and 54 together make 92, and it's negative. The absolute value of -47 is 47 away from 0. Add 0 to that, and I get 47. The opposite of -20 is +20. Bring down the sign. And the absolute value of -46 is 46. Okay, this one is a little tricky. Think about this as an addition problem. I forgot the add sign, so I'm sorry about that. This was supposed to be a plus and then this in parentheses, so that was my fault. 20 plus a -46. 46 is the bigger absolute value, so take 20 away and you get 26, but they're negatives. These guys have the same sign, so keep the sign and add them together. That's all I have for you today, so I will see you next time.